Let's go. Day one of the new patch is here. And what better way to ring in the new patch with trying out all of the new buffed cards? Because that's what everybody loves to do when there's buffed cards. Is just put them in your deck and they'll be good, right? They're buffed. Not how that works. Well, as the aggro degenerate that I am, I saw the buffs to Callous Bone Crusher as well as, what is this? Legion Rearguard. That's right. Almost forgot the name. It's been so long since we've seen them. Well, they both got buffed, and I said, you know what? Let's throw them into a deck. Deck is not necessarily a new concept. We all love and know LeBonk, but it's definitely been more of like a tier 2 deck. Maybe, just maybe, these two buffs were enough to send it over the top and actually make it a competitive deck. A 2-mana 6/4, that's all I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say, 2-mana 6/4. Let's go ahead, get on into the deck, and then the gameplay. Alright, so here we go. We got some LeBonk action, and definitely a little bit different than the ones that we're used to. We'll go through a lot of these card options here in a second, but the main thing I want to show you guys is that, yes, there are 3 Legion Rearguard in here, which were not in here previously. Actually, this was not really in any deck previously, at least for the last 6 months or so since it got nerfed to a 3/1. And then we got good old Callous Bone Crusher, which just got upped to a 6/4, supposed to be 6/3. And I don't know, last time I checked, 6 attack, 4 health, 4 cost. Seems nice, right? So what's the deal with this deck? Well, one of the big things that you know, I had posted something up on Twitter too, and a lot of people are like, well, you know, it doesn't have any keywords, right? Like Loyal Badger Bear is a 3-mana 4/4. Everybody main deck that. Seemed really good. I imagine if this was a 4-mana 5/5, obviously everybody would main deck it. So now we're just trading a health and an attack there. That 4 versus 5 health is a big deal, but the argument is that there's no keywords. This card doesn't really do much. Obviously, if you can throw it down for 2, that feels really good. But so one of the things that this deck is trying to do is add keywords. So a couple things here. So obviously Sivir leveled up. She's going to give, you know, other attacking allies keywords as well. So the main thing here is if we're able to give her Overwhelm with something like Might, that's going to feel damn good, right? But Callous Bone Crusher as well, getting something like Overwhelm feels really good when you have 6 attack on a unit. So we got 3 of Might in here. I am considering bringing this down to 2 just because Might in general is a pretty crappy card to draw. Whereas Inner Sanctum, might even actually change this to 3 and put Might at 2. Inner Sanctum is actually really impressing me. Because of how easy this deck can hit Reputation, which we'll go over in a second, the Lucky Finds actually do a lot for you. And being that they are only a whole 0 mana, this, when you're playing it for 0, man, does it feel good to get those Lucky Finds at 0 mana. You gotta remember, too, all the keywords that Lucky Finds give, well, I shouldn't say give, they grant. That's the kicker, right? So you do get to keep those on the units, and especially when they're on a spell shielded unit such as Sivir, it's going to feel really good. So one of the things with this, speaking of the Inner Sanctum of Reputation, and obviously Callous Bone Crusher Reputation, you know, obviously you're not going to be playing Callous Bone Crusher on turn 2. That's not a thing. It's not going to happen. You can't by turn 2 get 4 or 5 plus power strikes off. Like it's not going to ever happen. But on turns 5 and 6, if you're able to get 2 of these bad, I almost said bad boy, bad, I think it's a girl, bad girls down on turn 5 or 6, and then still have, I mean, that's only, let's say 4 mana. Let's say it's turn 6 and you bank 3 spell mana. Now you have 5 mana left and you just developed 12/8 worth of stats on turn 6. That's really good. So how do we get Reputation? Well, ever since I saw Bloodthirsty Marauder come out, I was like, what the hell? Legion Rearguard sucks now. This is literally just a worse version, right? Now there's upside and downside to both. This has less health and can block. This has more health and can't block. But now we have a reliable turn 1 3 attack unit to consistently play. Why does that matter? Doesn't really even technically matter. I mean, if we push 3 damage, great. Feels awesome. I'm not going to complain. But Brothers Bond, amazing. And especially even, so now we throw in Legion Grenadier, right? These all having 3 attack, big deal. Buff them up with Brothers Bond. You can get Reputation super, super fast. And same deal with these Lucky Finds. Lucky Finds, they can also add 2 attack as one of the Lucky Finds. So that can be one of the buffs that you grab. And Trifarian Glory Seeker is just kind of thrown in here as another 2-drop you know, 5 attack unit. Trifarian Hopeful. I'm still up in the air on this guy. I mean, I don't know. He's 5. It's usually 5 attack. I mean, there's only one unit that's not Noxus, and that's going to be Bloodthirsty Marauder. And generally speaking, this deck doesn't really have as many Shuriman units, but I don't know. It seems like it's doing okay thus far. You're going to see, I think I end up playing it in one of these 2 games here, but I'm still up in the air on Trifarian Hopeful. I've always been up in the air since this card was released, right? But overall, this deck super fun to play. Shunpo, you know Shunpo. Come on, let's be honest here. A rally, surprising your opponent with a rally late game. I actually had 2 of these originally. Can do a lot of work towards the end of the game. And the big deal now with this deck, especially between Whispered Words and Preservarium, now this aggro deck is what it is at heart, has a ton of ways to just draw additional cards. That's 3 cards essentially costing 2 mana, drawing 2. That's really, or sorry, 6 cards I should say. That's really, really good. So, all right, anyways, let's go ahead. We'll take a look at 2 games. I think the first one's Mid-Range Frostbite. No, not Mid-Range Frostbite. No, Vladimir. It's Vladimir Braum. Same thing, right? Close enough. And then the second game is that aggro Shuriman Shadow Isles deck that has been popping up. So let's go ahead and see if we can get Callous Bone Crusher to be busted. All right, so can we just take a second, like a moment of silence here, to just appreciate the champions that we just saw pop up on the screen there? Because, yeah, that was a Braum and a Vladimir and a LeBlanc and a Sivir. Those are champions that have completely not really been played much. So good to see a lot of different decks being experimented with right now. I don't know, man. I just love seeing that stuff. I love people seeing, wow, I love seeing people, be original. So anyways, wow, talk about one drops. So we got all of the Bloodthirsty Marauders turn 1 here, which isn't terrible, right? And we actually, like, we don't mind taking trades like this, which is why you see our opponent actually take that 3 damage. They want to get the, which I always forget the name of this, Crimson Cat, but they want to get that effect off of that Crimson Cat once they throw down, see, Unscarred Reaver. So now they'll be more willing to make that trade. So that was a free 3 damage for us. We're not really concerned about that 3 damage because generally speaking, later on in the game, we're going to want to be setting up some sort of huge lethal turn with Overwhelm and stuff like that. So for now, at least in this matchup, a lot of these Bloodthirsty Marauders are going to just act as blockers to slowly whittle down the field of our opponent. So one of the advantages that I wasn't actually expecting, because when you build decks right now, you're not really worried about Braum Vladimir. All right, it's a thing now. Finally, it's being played for once. But you don't build a deck worrying about Braum Vladimir. But what I realized is that because of things like LeBlanc having 5 attack, generally this Braum Vladimir deck, they're playing Transfusion. They're playing a lot of these health buffs that generally are going to swing health by 2. And, being at 5 actually makes a huge difference. All these 5 attack units are still going to be able to take down those other units in combat. And so you don't have to really worry about playing around Elixir of Iron or Troll Chant for that matter. Troll Chant maybe to an extent, depending on, kind of what things are looking like. But Transfusion you won't have to play around. So it's generally pretty good for you. Now, Preservarium is very big in this matchup as well as Whispered Words. We were just talking about earlier when we went over the deck. That card advantage is crucial in this deck because a lot of the times your early units you want to be trading away until you get down Sivir and LeBlanc, right? You don't need them to stick around. Now, if you're trying to set up some sort of Brothers Bond play with 2 of the 3 attack units, then sure, maybe you want to try to keep them around. It's one of the reasons why we didn't develop anything. Or actually, I think they opened attack, but we wouldn't have developed, or if we did develop, we wouldn't have blocked there. Redling over here goes and does a lot of damage with that open attack, but now we have free range to just go ahead and develop as we see fit. Now, the biggest thing here, we got we got a Legion Grenadier and 2 Legion Marauders in hand. Wow, I'm just now putting, Bloodthirsty Marauder. I thought for a second they look kind of similar, like the guy in the picture between Legion Marauder and Bloodthirsty Marauder, or Legion Grenadier. Wow, now I'm just taking every word and just mishmashing it into a card name. All right, stay with me here. So anyways, now we want to set up these 2 Bloodthirsty Marauders here with the Brothers Bond. And what that's going to do is basically instantly level this LeBlanc. Trifarian Glory Seeker is another good card here to go ahead and get that five damage through. So there's no way we don't level LeBlanc here, knowing that we're playing against Braum and Vladimir as well. There's no removal. The only way they remove something from our side of the field, unless they're playing Avalanche, like there are some versions that are playing Avalanche or Blighted Ravine and things of that nature, so you might have to worry about those. Avalanche here, though, we're not worried about because Avalanche would actually kill most of their field. And it looks like the version that they're playing, especially with something like that 5/5 Crimson Awakener, it doesn't seem like they're playing spells. It seems like they're more unit and combat centric based. So, but yeah, you'll see here, putting in LeBlanc to the right, gonna be able to level up. Now this is great too. Couple things here is that although there's no burn spells in this deck, right? And I considered things like Ruinous Path and stuff like that. There's no burn spells in the deck, but both champion spells act as burn spells. So we can see the sigil here after this Brothers Bond, right? We hit Reputation, we do more damage, we level up LeBlanc, but then we also, and because we hit Reputation, we actually have mana for the sigil as well. And I think, yeah, we just play that this turn, right? And then we just end the game with sigil. And that's one of the crazy things about this deck is that although it's not a quote unquote burn deck, it's more of a unit aggro based, way to victory. Although they're both burn and aggro are both generally trying to do the same thing and win the game quick. Both their champion spells can also close out the game. Sivir's Ricochet, that does, what is it, 6? I think it's 5 damage to face for 6. So that's not bad. I mean, it's not the greatest card in the world, but when you're just trying to close out the game and you're out of resources, that might be that last bit of damage that you need. I mean, how many times have we seen people just top deck a Decimate for the win, right? So same kind of deal there if you got a Sivir on field. And honestly, Sivir tends to stick around because of the spell shield, right? So now we actually get to see LeBlanc and Sivir at the same time, and I think this is the game where Callous Bone Crusher is going to come into play as well, which I was so excited. I was so excited that this just worked, right? Callous Bone Crusher seems really, really, really busted now. So opponent was smart playing that Stygian Onlooker. It doesn't just prevent the 5 damage, but more importantly, you don't just have to worry about your life total now. They have to worry about me getting a Reputation hit. And that's big. If you're able to get a Reputation hit turn 2 like that with a Glory Seeker or a Hopeful, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So here, all right, so our opponent, if you guys haven't seen this deck before, this is a aggro / burn deck. Shurima and Shadow Isles. So that's why we didn't go with LeBlanc there. We played the Trifarian Hopeful because we need a Fearsome Blocker. If we didn't have a Fearsome Blocker here, we would have taken way too much damage this turn. So still probably more damage than I want to take going down to 14 because we have absolutely no heal in this deck. So it's a race. This matchup is 100% a race. If we don't KO our opponent before they find some more burn, then we're screwed. And the biggest thing is Doom Beast in this matchup is what I was really concerned about because that is a huge life swing, 4 total because they're gaining 2 health as well, obviously. So, but still, we got LeBlanc online, which is going to feel really good. They don't really have a whole lot of tools to kill her, as Unspeakable Horror only does 1 damage, unless they are playing Blighted Caretaker. I know some versions of this deck are, so that might be a concern. But we're also able to get Sivir down if we want. I considered playing, now that I finally drew Callous Bone Crusher, I'm like, all right, do I just have to play it right now on turn 5 for 4 mana just because my opponent is already threatening so much damage? I opted against it because if I did play it, it would have given me a better blocker here for at least probably the 5/3, probably the Crescent Guardian, right? Because we don't want to take that 5 damage to the face. So our opponent actually makes a really big mistake, though, which kind of gets us out of this. I'm not sure if we would have won without this. They 100%, they were thinking about it, too. They should not have attacked with this Elise and the Stygian Onlooker because although they're pushing 2 more damage when everything is said and done, they're actually allowing me to hit Reputation and also level the LeBlanc, right? And that's the thing about going up against the LeBlanc deck is if you actually allow your opponent to block with a Sivir or LeBlanc on the field and they're living, it actually does a lot for them. It really accelerates the Reputation level up. So because we hit Reputation, we're also able to play Inner Sanctum, which you'll see in a second does work. I'm so excited about Inner Sanctum. We're able to play a Whispered Words, draw some cards. We're able to get both of these Callous Bone Crushers down. And this is where you start to see the game swing a little bit. And yeah, because now you see our opponents starting to scramble. They're throwing more units to the board because now we're going to go super wide. These lucky finds, you know, when everything's said and done, I'm not sure if they did a whole lot in this combat. I'm not positive if Overwhelm was the right choice here, because I think in my mind and I should have probably just taken more time to do the math. I think in my mind, Might and Brothers Bond was going to be some way that I win the game. So if I gave something else Overwhelm, maybe, you know, we have lethal. But I think no matter which way, even if I grab like another Overwhelm with that lucky find and then Brothers Bonded, I don't think we would have had lethal regardless. Especially because I believe we see another Unspeakable Horror come out here. Which is still not bad for me, right? Because I did buff the other Bone Crusher up to 6 so that it can't just be chump blocked by this Crescent Guardian. So that's why we went that route. The extra 3 damage that gets pushed onto this Wraith, probably not worth it when everything's said and done. I forget what the other 2 options were. I think it was actually +1/+1 might have been the way to go there. Just to make it a little bit more sticky. But that just goes to show you how amazing Callous Bone Crusher can be, especially with these lucky finds. Not only is this a 2-mana 6/4, when you start putting lucky finds on top of it, especially when it's 0 mana, you got some big old units on the board. And you can see, like, we are completely destroying our opponent's board now. They were like ahead of us on board, ahead of us on cards. Now we 100% have this, especially now that we're going to have a Sivir and a LeBlanc chilling on field after the fact. Both leveled up, too. And I think we get a Mimic after this as well. And that's the other thing, too. When I first saw LeBlanc, I was like, we're never going to get Mimic, right? Like this, you have to do 15 and another 15 just to get 1 Mimic. I think we actually get our Mimic reduced in cost here because we do so much damage during combat. It's actually pretty easy. Like, reputation and damage in this deck is actually very, very easy to do because people are forced into chump blocking. And thankfully, that damage still counts. There's the Ricochet off the top. Now, I actually think I could have won the game here, and I screwed this up. Yeah, because I think they do 2 miss rates here. And if I had just taken... No. Or maybe was it... No. Did I just draw that this turn? No, maybe I did have to... Yeah, okay. So I had the block here. I was thinking I might have had lethal with the Ricochet, but again, Whispered Words doing work, and now I feel comfortable, right? I have enough cards where, okay, you know what? You're forcing me to block with my Sivir and my LeBlanc. I got another Sivir in hand. This is a-okay, and with 6 mana left, I have plenty to redevelop now, too. We have another Callous Bone Crusher that's actually going to end up finishing the game for us alongside Sivir. Now, Sivir's going to give it Spell Shield. We have the Brothers Bond, and in 1 attack, that's right, we're doing 16 sweet damage. God, does it feel good. The Callous Bone Crusher, man, so good. I cannot wait to play this deck more on ladder. Such a good deck. All right, that's it. There you have it. That is the updated LeBlanc, at least how I've been playing it, and it seems really, really fun. I'm going to keep using this bad boy on ladder and see how far it gets me. I'm really liking Callous Bone Crusher, and I'm really liking the amount of just big old units. And honestly, I did not really think Payday and lucky lucky finds and stuff would be that great. I'm really liking them. I'm liking the whole concept, and I think it was something that was really slept on when all the cards came out, and I really think they're going to have a spot to shine here now with Sivir. So super excited about everything with all these buffs, nerfs. Oh man, long time coming, baby. Long time coming. But I am JDoza, just reminding everybody, because, you know, my name did change. But as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.